Pleasure to meet you, Isaac.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I am here with Isaac Florentine, the filmmaker behind this first-rate film called Hounds of War. First off, I love the location. Just talk about the challenge of making your film beautiful because there's so many great visual setups. How much preparation went into just preparing it on a visual sense and giving us a great painting of your film?
A lot. Because the hardest thing for me when I do a movie, besides the casting, is finding the right locations. And this movie was challenging because, yes, Malta is very beautiful in many ways, but you have to find the right locations for the movie. And I had three setbacks. The first one, I found some locations and wanted to shoot it in a studio that was in the island. And then Ridley Scott came and he's doing Napoleon. So I'm pushed away, and of course he's in. So we're back almost to base one. Second setback that we had, the first part of the movie, all the action was supposed to happen in a beautiful big, some kind of a palace. And I found something. It was very hard to find, but I found something. But I was very, very limited with what I could do. And it was really counterproductive to do it. And really, by the last week of pre-production, I said, okay, let's totally scratch the idea. We went 180 degrees to the other direction, and we went with the place that used to be a hotel, like a big compound that used to be a hotel, and it looks like it was bombed. And we shot there really the first chunk of the movie. But it was like a last minute decision. And the third setback that I had is where the opening of the movie, where you're shooting kind of the square with the American president, I was supposed to shoot it at the main square in Valletta, the St. George Square. And we lost it, but we're already shooting. We're already in the third or fourth week of shooting. And it's like, whoa, we lost it. So now, 2, 3 days before we shoot, I have to go and find a new location that will kind of work. And I found that location and I said, how will I make it work? Luckily, the church right in front of it, they had the scaffolding, they were renovating it. And I said, I'm going to use it. So that was, talking about locations, that was it was kind of an odyssey, you know. But sometimes some of the location that I found, for instance, the Italy where they chasing him in the roof and whatever, they showed it to me for another location. I said, no, it doesn't fit this location, but I can make it fit to that location. And so, you know, even if when you see something, you have always to be open-minded and not to be negative, because maybe it will not fit that part of the movie, but it can fit this part of the movie.
You know, that's so interesting, Isaac, because you have a lifelong passion for martial arts. A lot of those books in your library are probably martial arts based.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I wonder, you've been asked this quite a bit, but that philosophy, not just the physical part of the choreography, but maybe the way of life, the point of view, how has that influenced you as a filmmaker? Maybe in a positive way. I'm thinking maybe that's integrated in the way you look at and not being stressed about everything, maybe just being a real leader. Did you learn that from your teachings and learnings and passion for martial arts? And did that translate to filmmaking as well?
So there is stress and there is stress. There is a positive stress that in order to overcome it, you say, I'm going to be prepared. And there is a negative stress that basically interferes, you know? So you try to chamber the stress into a positive stress. Like sparring gives you experience how to deal with defense and attacks, etc. But another thing that came from martial arts is the clarity of the technique. I wanted the technique, coming from karate, doing it for more than 50 years, I wanted the technique will be clean, will be sharp. And when you move from one thing to another, like in a kata, it should be very clean, very seamless, no extra emotions. The same from one scene to another. So you apply one thing to another, and also a matter of pace, because there's something in martial arts that it's pace. And you want at that pace. Somebody asked me before, how do you know if the scene is too short or too long and whatever? And I say, I don't know, but it's a matter of pace that you have inside. And I think that this pace came from martial arts for sure, but also from music. But again, also the clarity of the movement. Now, when you say clarity of the movement, it's also clarity of the space that you are. That means when I do an action scene or a drama, I want that the environment will be clear. I want that people will know that this character is on the right, this character is on the left, they're here. So I'll go with wide lenses. I know when to use the wide lens, how to move the camera. I will not go, and it will be clear, it will be clean. I don't like shaky camera unless you're shooting an accident and bang, there is a bang, or something like this. So I don't want to confuse the audience. I want to give him clarity. So I think that at a certain point, the audience goes with it and enjoys it because it doesn't have to suffer or to guess what's going on. He gets that information, so now he can concentrate on the story, on the character, and not to think too much where I am, what's going on.
Yeah.
He's engaged with the story.
On being engaged with the story, Isaac, my podcast co-host, you're one of his favorite filmmakers, and he'd rather see an Isaac Florentine film as opposed to $150 million action film by a studio because he would rather see your movies because it has a strong POV.
I like to do the $150 million movie, but that's okay.
Right. I mean, not to be too critical, but is there something that these sometimes a higher budget maybe leads to a lack of cinema as opposed to just quick cutting, dumbing down for the audience, as opposed to your movies, which has a very direct point of view. There's fluid camera work, there's strength in storytelling, and there's just a signature essence that maybe you won't get in certain movies that are way more expensive. Is that a myth, you think?
No. I don't know if it's a myth or not. First, it's always a pleasure to work when you have the time. In a big movie, I'm sure you have the time to work, and you can do whatever you want. But if you do a small movie, not so many people want to be involved in it, especially executive and whatever. They're not there like to save the big budget movie. So it gives you some kind of a freedom to go and to do whatever you want. And because in this kind of a movies, there is no reshoot, there is no we'll do it after, and there is no fat because already in pre-production, I take the script and I tell the writer, take this out. It's fat. Will never be on the screen. What we need to get is about 90 minutes that will be on the screen. I want to shoot everything that I shoot. I want to end up on the screen. Why? Because if I have X amount to shoot, Y amount of scene, I want to spend all the time on those scenes and not to shoot extra scenes that will go on the floor and then not have quality time, shoot whatever will be on the screen. So when you take all of those factors together, you can do good stuff also in a good movie. Again, you have to be prepared. Pre-production is the most important thing. Is locations. You find a location. You know how a scene will play within the location, and then you sit either in your hotel room and whatever you do the short list. And this I do by myself alone. I close myself. I'm alone. I have either a banjo or a guitar with me, whatever. And that's after I have the location. I know the location. I said, this is how the scene will look. And you find that if you start the scene correctly, the shots, it's like butter, it will flow. If you start it incorrectly, you get stuck. And you say, wait, I didn't start correctly. Let's start again. And then you have a short list. That means that the day that you go and you already do a recce with your crew, you tell them, this is what we're going to shoot. This is how we're going to shoot it. And by the way, you tell the other department, I'm going to shoot only this. Don't worry about the other side. Just worry about this side. So now they can put the what they don't have and what they have right here and not to spend stuff on stuff that will not be shown. And when you go and you shoot the day of the shooting, you know what you're doing. It's one thing after the other. So you're not wasting time. You're being very economically.
I,
Again, this also comes from martial arts, I believe.
yeah, I love Frank Grillo, and I want to see him in every scene. That said, without giving too much away, there's a scene that's pretty much propelled by Rhona Mitra and her fellow actors in they have their own sequence without Grillo. Was that in the script? Was that your idea? Because I thought that was just
No, no, it was in the script.
oh that
I
was yeah,
mean,
okay.
yeah,
That's
it was.
awesome.
What happened was that one of the producers was the writer, and it was easy to tell him, look, change the scene to so and so and so and so, change it per day's location. But it was absolutely put. It it was in the script. Whether we put it on purpose or not, I don't remember now. But yeah, it was an opportunity to do something light and flamboyant, which is a bit different than the way that Frank moves more realistically. And that was an opportunity for Mike Moller and Lee Charles to do some great stuff with David Wall, that was the second unit director and the fight choreographer, and Mike Moller to do something that and Rhona that we all had fun, you know.
It was really well
That was
done.
actually the first action scene we shot in the movie. We shot it at the third day, you know. So yeah.
Is to me, how hard was it just to do the car chase sequence within the narrow streets? And then on top of that, you're building, you talked about the scaffolding at the beginning, but you also build an extra layer with the tunnels. It seems to me that must have been difficult to do, or was that movie magic because you built a really great subworld in your film?
So first of all, it's in the script. I mean, you serve the script as a director. The scaffolding, that tower was under renovation, so I just used what I had. So I told you I lost the big location. I found
Yeah,
a small location, but those scaffoldings really helped it to make it to connect things. Uh, and with the tunnels, it was in the script, and we really shot in the catacombs, the original catacombs that are in Malta. You couldn't shoot there with a big crew. You could only bring 3 or 4 people in because there was not enough air. So you had to be very economical about it.
well, that's amazing. Isaac, final couple questions. So, if someone watches Hounds of War and is not familiar with your work and they want to actually, what would what movie from your resume would you have them go to next? Or maybe pick a movie from your own resume that you feel is underrated that you would like our listeners to watch and what makes it special for you.
I don't know. I can tell you, I have no idea. There are 3 movies that I like. One is a total mainstream. In a way, I think like Hounds of War is Acts of Vengeance with Antonio Banderas. Second is any one of the undisputed movies, but I would start with two. Uh, but two, three, and four almost are one movie. And the second Ninja movie that I did, Shadow of a Tear. So, because the Undisputed are sports movies, there were actually Undisputed was the first MMA movie that was done. And Ninja Shadow of a Tear is a pure martial arts movie. It's really pure. And even and we base it on some real character that is being talked in the movie, of course, and not is not there. And nobody plays it. And Acts of Vengeance, it's total mainstream movie. It's like a
Yeah.
thriller.
Yeah. So I've been reading past interviews and you would like to mention the three Sergios and you also talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. But
Yes.
I want to know when you were a kid or maybe a teenager, the first time you saw The Great Silence and your reaction to that film and why you think that movie is special. Because I really, that's probably my favorite spaghetti Western. I don't even know if it's a spaghetti Western because it's such a beautiful film towards the end, especially. So, but what was your first reaction seeing it as a youth?
Sergio Corbucci has good movies and some not. I mean, it's like it fluctuates, you know. Uh, I mean, he's got like The Mercenary that I really like it, and I mean, it's anyway. First of all, I think that Jean-Louis Trintignant and Klaus Kinski are great in that movie. It's set in the snow. Corbucci went totally different than Sergio Leone. You know, Django is in the mud. The Great Silence is in the snow. You know, when I shot Undisputed 2 and the snow was falling, I said, wow, it's like the Great Silence. And not to mention the ending of the movie. You know, the ending of the movie is you don't expect that ending, you know? And it's like, it makes it like, wow, you know? It's
Yeah.
uh, it's a surprise ending. Uh, but look, there were some American movies that had also a little bit of surprise ending. There's a movie with
Oh, really? Okay.
uh, Yul Brynner and George Segal, Invitation to a Gunfighter or whatever, and it's totally. I was there in 1964, huh? It's totally offbeat, you know. So it's interesting, but it's offbeat. The character is offbeat. And I think that movie influenced, I'm not sure, it influenced Clint Eastwood when he did High Plane Drifter.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. My final question to you is, so Hounds of War, it's available on digital September 20th. But I wonder about cinephiles who want to collect all of your works on physical media, on DVD or Blu-ray. Do you still think there's a passion for physical media? Because I think you're like your library over here. I feel that it's going away where we can't buy all the DVDs or Blu-rays of auteurs and that's something I worry about. How do you feel about DVDs or Blu-rays now? Do you think it's a lost? Can we ever? Can it ever come back? You know. So
I look, people thought that big records like the turntable will not come back. And I have records, and I remember my little girl saw it like years ago. I mean, she's 28 now, and she says, "What do you mean? You turn this and you put it on the other side?" So I think that I have still some DVDs. I have a big library here. I mean, it's most of it is all martial arts.
yeah,
Uh, but I have some DVDs because look, there are movies that you cannot see if you go online and try to get them. You cannot get them. So at least you have them on a DVD. I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer, but I still, let's say, if I read a book, I enjoy holding the book, feeling the paper, smelling the paper, than to see it on a tablet or something, you know? I think the connection is different. But also, when I do a short list, I take a pen and a pencil and I write it with a pen and a pencil, and I don't type it, you know?
right. Thank you so much for your time. Hellfire, I saw on IMDb. Is that in post? How far are you on that? I love
Both.
Stephen Lang. I love him as an. What can you say about that? Is how far? When can we expect that done?
We are almost done. I mean, we are moving slowly. It's a contemporary Western. I enjoy shooting it a lot. Stephen Lang was fantastic. 70 years old, he's doing all of his action, all of his fight, and he loves it. Harvey Keitel, Johnny Young Bosch was the fight choreographer and played a fantastic character in the movie. And yeah, I enjoyed doing that movie. I mean, it was a hard movie to do because it was a small budget, but it's almost done, and I like this movie a lot. And the music is great. I mean, there is the singer and banjo player, Min Mary. She is doing her own version of Wayfaring Stranger, that is a Civil War song, and it's fantastic. Fantastic, you know? So,
Yeah, speaking of fantastic, Hounds of War on digital September 20th. Isaac Florentine, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your
Okay.
time.